Choosing and living in an apartment is a big financial commitment, and you will need to understand all the different costs involved in order to make a wise decision. After completing this video, you'll be able to determine the most you are able to spend on an apartment, choose wisely between different apartment options, understand and sign a lease, as well as choose an insurance policy that meets your needs as a renter. Before beginning, please take some time to look over the key vocabulary for this lesson. These terms will be used throughout the unit in weekly assignments. There are many advantages as well as disadvantages to renting. Usually, renting allows for lower housing payments along with less responsibility. Renters are usually not responsible for the upkeep of the living space and repairs. In addition, most renters' agreements are for a short period of time. This means as long as you give the required notice, you are not committed to staying past your agreement. Along with advantages, there are disadvantages too. Those who rent do not own the property in which they are living. Therefore, your monthly payments do not give you ownership of anything. In addition, certain rented buildings provide restrictions to its tenants. This slide provides information about the various types of housing provided to individuals. Some of the options you may be more familiar with than others. We will take a deeper look at these options next week as well. You will need to find the one that best suits your needs and wants, but the most important consideration is finances. You'll find the perfect apartment, but if it doesn't matter if you cannot afford it. Start with the classified section of your local newspaper. In many cities, if the city is large enough, the listings will be organized geographically. The Yellow Pages or phone book will also have many listings under apartments. The internet is also a great tool as well. Finally, you may want to get assistance from a local realtor. The cost of an apartment will vary based on its size and if it offers such things as a garage space, swimming pool, furnishings, etc. Some apartments may be more expensive because the rent includes the cost of all or some of the utilities such as electricity, phone, or heat. Apartments in more upscale areas of the city, as well as newer apartments, will be more expensive. As you begin looking for the apartment that is right for you, you will need to know about how much you will feel comfortable spending each month per rent. A good rule is to spend no more than 30% of your monthly earnings on your base rent, not including utilities. Generally, you are paying for space. Apartments with a separate bedroom cost more, and the price increases with the number of bedrooms the unit contains. Like previously stated, some apartments have additional facilities such as a swimming pool and fitness center. If you feel you'll use these luxuries, you may want to consider renting an apartment that offers them. However, realize that you are technically paying for these as usually the rent is higher compared to other apartments that do not offer them. As you begin to read through the ads for apartments and talk to the rental agents, be sure you're considering all the expenses that you'll have to pay, not just the monthly rent. Find out which utilities are covered in your rent and which you will be billed for directly. Usually, when you first rent an apartment, you're required to put down a deposit. Sometimes called a security deposit, this is a sum of money that the landlord holds until you move out of the apartment. If at any time you leave there is any damage to the apartment that needs to be repaired, the deposit money will be used to take care of the repairs. If you are careful to leave the apartment in good shape, you should receive your deposit back. The deposit can be as much as 1 month's rent, so you need to make sure you have enough money in the beginning to cover its expenses. Finally, do not forget about the things you need to live in your apartment: furniture, dishes, cleaning supplies, and other household items. Shopping for your apartment can be fun, but expensive too. Some apartments come already furnished. This can be a good choice for individuals who are moving into their first apartment or have to make a quick move. Realize these apartments are more expensive. Please review the list of items to keep in mind when searching for an apartment. These may be topics to discuss with the landlord as well. When you finally decide on the apartment that is best for you, both you and your landlord will sign a document called a lease. This legally binding document describes the terms that you have both agreed upon, and by signing it, you are promising to fulfill your side of the agreement. Since it is a legal document, it is important to read it fully prior to signing. The length of time you wish to rent the apartment, called the term, will be stated in the lease. Usually when you sign a lease, you are promising to stay for a period of 1 year. Listed on the slide are some additional terms to keep in mind when signing a lease. Have you ever thought about if there was a fire in your apartment and you had to replace all your furniture, linens, and other household items? Renter's insurance is a good thing to have. In some cases, is required by your landlord. There are two basic areas of coverage, both liability as well as contents. The cost of renter's insurance will vary depending on where you live and the value you place on your belongings. Although you might be tempted to save your money and not purchase this insurance, ask yourself this: am I willing to take the chance that I won't need it? Can I afford to pay for new items if I have to? You'll probably find that the answer to both of those questions are no. No one can refuse to rent you an apartment based on your age, sex, race, national origin, religion, physical disability, or other discriminatory reasons. This is against federal law. You also have the right to live in a safe apartment. This means you can and should insist that faulty wiring, chipping, or flaking paint, holes in floors or ceilings, and mouse populations be dealt with immediately. You also have the right to privacy. Even though the landlord owns the building you are living in, he or she cannot come into your apartment without permission unless it is an emergency such as a fire. Finally, the landlord cannot raise your rent during the term of the lease without your consent. Condos are similar to an apartment but often have more space. Besides making loan payments, you'll be required to pay a monthly condo association fee, which is used to maintain the facilities and grounds shared by the residents. You have now completed the video. Once you have completed the entire lesson in video, you'll be able to understand the process of finding an apartment as well as reviewing the price for it. In addition, you should be able to identify additional expenses such as utilities and security deposits, understand the tenants' and landlords' rights, and be familiar with a lease.